more reaction on the story, we can speak to political analyst Prince Mashele. So, Prince, how would you describe the mess that we saw unfold last night?
Well, it's chaos. Everyone who has eyes to see can see it's chaos. But this is a logical end to a corrupt organization. When you have a party like the ANC that allows corruption to go on and on unpunished for so many years, corruption becomes like cancer. It spreads through the organization, and the logical end, it's death of the organism. So what we are seeing the final stages of a political party that was bound to get to where it is now. Essentially, there are two factions. The Jacob Zuma faction, so Ace Magashule actually has been part of that, and the Tumamina faction, which is the Cyril Ramaphosa faction. There is no faction in the ANC, or these two are not clean. Both of them have dirty human beings. So essentially, the organization has to split. There is no other way.
Yeah, and the likes of Tony Ngeni coming out seemingly, of course, on the side of Ace Magashule. So we're seeing these different factions a bit more vocal now. That means we're in for a long fight here, doesn't it?
There's no question about it. Each of the two factions believe that the ANC belongs to it. So there is no faction that is ready to relent. So we must expect more fights and more divisions. And the problem is that the president of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, does not have the moral authority to be respected and to inspire the rest of the organization. He himself is actually being seen as part of the problem. I've listened to Tony Ngeni, for example, who says Cyril Ramaphosa won because he bought ANC branches and he got money from all manner of elements from the private sector. It is true that Cyril Ramaphosa was sponsored by forces in the private sector. There was a CR17 fund, and who contributed to that fund remains a secret. Of course, there was also a fund that was behind Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. So money is essentially destroying the ANC. That is the essence of what we are witnessing.
Yeah. So what happens then going forward, especially since we're going to have an ANC with internal battles? When do we see some finality to this, if at all, especially ahead of this NEC meeting?
Look, the divisions and the fights are not about to end. In fact, this is the beginning of a much more bitter fight. What we are likely to witness is this. There will be elements that will call for an early NGC, National General Council of the party, hoping that when they get to the NGC, they will remove the members of the other factions. If that does not happen, they will start a succession battle very early. So don't be surprised when you now hear calls that Cyril Ramaphosa must resign, and people mobilizing within the organization calling for Ramaphosa to resign. So this is the beginning of a long drama. The unfortunate part of it is this. The ANC is a governing party. So when you see all of these fights in the ANC, we as ordinary South Africans, we ask ourselves the question, why must we have confidence that our country is in good hands when these people are busy fighting? That is the most worrying part for me, because we cannot expect that in a country there will be political stability when the governing party is tearing itself apart.
And Cyril Ramaphosa, Prince, what's his position going forward? How much of a threat does he face in Ace Magashule? Because we know that given that the NWC has agreed on the step-aside motion and resolution, as well as the NEC, is the balance in his favor or not?
Currently, the balance is in Cyril Ramaphosa's favor. Why? Because he controls the upper structures. In other words, he controls the top 6, now is the top 5. He also controls the NWC, which are the structures that endorse the suspension of Ace Magashule. Ace Magashule now is limping because he has been thrown out of the structures of the ANC. It's going to be very difficult for him to mobilize without the support of the official structures of the party. So the balance of forces currently, it's clearly on the side of Cyril Ramaphosa. But you cannot guarantee that this is going to hold for long, because Ace is not going to rest. He is going to work with other disgruntled forces in the ANC to try and topple Cyril Ramaphosa. So what I'm saying is, even though Cyril Ramaphosa has won round 1, he may actually not be guaranteed to win round 2. The fight is still long, and we're going to witness more turbulence.
Lastly, of course, many within the ANC thought this tough stance on corruption was going to see them win some voters over, but now you have this playing out. What are the consequences in terms of the electorate?
Look, I have no doubt, call me again, the ANC support in the forthcoming local government elections is going to decline even further. South Africans are not inspired by a party that is busy tearing itself apart. We have seen it, by the way, before. If the ANC lost Johannesburg, lost Nelson Mandela Bay, it lost Tshwane, I have no doubt that there will be political consequences for the party, in the sense that it will lose support. And if the fight persists, the ANC could very easily lose the elections in 2024. Remember, that is now below 60%. So I foresee a downward spiral. If they don't get their act together, they will be out of power in 2024.
Interesting. Thanks for your insight. Appreciate it. Prince Mashele, a political analyst.